Hello, and welcome to another tutorial. And this time I will show you how you possibly can work with, get a good lens out of an old kern-paillard, YVAR, and it's 75mm and 2.5, and it's for the Bolex H16 with a C mount. This lens has different issues, and I would like to use it on my Fuji X M1. It's why I actually buy a lens mount, adapter for the photodiox, and it's from C to FX, which will be the Fuji X. And I really would like to use it. So it's mount like this. It looks strange, but I think it will be good. The problem is that the lens is actually have a very stiff focus ring, which I think must be from old dry out lube. And it also have a lot of fungus and haze inside. So, well, you can see it looks maybe a little dirty, but if I put some light through it, it will be a lot more than just dust and dirt. So there's a lot of haze and fungus in this. So let's see what I can do about it. Well, I have been into the lens before just to investigate what actually is wrong and what could be done. So we need some tools, some dentist tool of different shapes, a 2mm flathead screwdriver, a 1.2mm flathead screwdriver, a tweezer, pointy tweezer, some rubber tools from Japanhobbytool, those rubber cones, which is very good, and some old compasses, which I use for lens as a lens tool, because I can buy them cheap in the hardware store, and simply file and grind the tip to work as a lens tool. We also need some, I will actually try how good it is for this lens. The grade 10 from Japanhobbytool is grease. Some hydrogen peroxide will also be very handy to clean the lens and possibly, maybe, get the fungus away. Some simple lighter fluid, in this case it could be whatever lighter fluid, but I put a serine needle on, so it's easy to apply on small spaces. I also need to clean the focus helicoid, so I use some Isopropylalcohol 99%. Two brushes of different. The one, actually they are makeup brushes. The one for cleaning, this one, and the other one for actually add the lube on it, on the helicoid. A measure tool will also be very handy for measure before taking the parts out. So we can actually start to measure at infinity, just in case someone want to know that. So from the full length, from the not from the thread itself, but from the end of the lens to the other to the other end, and the measure tool said something about 74 point, well, 23, 20 or so. It's not that hard, but we should end up when we are done with that. Oh, a lens blower is also very handy. So let's jump into it. Before taking it apart, I will, I have set a mark here, which is almost in line, as much as it could, in line with the index mark. It's just a reference point. It doesn't have to be actually so accurate. And I also set some mark here, so I know where it is when assemble it again. So loosen the 3 set screws around. There's no need to take them out on the focusing ring. And simply pull the 2 parts, the 2 sections here apart. It will split up here. And before actually taking this part away, I will set a mark here somewhere, because it should be in line with the index mark. So it's also my reference point. So, and it's actually in line with the mark I set here. So I know where it should sit. And also in here, there should also be a mark. So everything is in line with it. So you just pull it apart. So. And I also set a mark here of the dented end of the tube, the inner part. So I know exactly where the this little, I don't know what it calls in English, but this pin down here actually has to go into the gap here, and in that way lock the the lens focusing helicoids. So now we'll just take the back part and actually clean it, but before taking it out, set a mark here on the inner tube here. So you know where this this helicoid, wow, it's really dry, where it will end up when you assemble it again. So to take off this ring here, you have to turn this ring here, actually from my starting point here, it will be 1, 2 and a half, which will come off over here, which I also set a mark. So I turn it actually a full half, a half a turn, and when it comes off, it's where it is. So I actually set a mark over here where it comes off, actually almost in line as much as it can, and here it is. So and I could actually just clean this part with a brush, just so we can actually, and it's actually very easy to clean with a brush here and get the old dirty grease away, just like cooking. So, and now it's actually looks pretty good. So now I can just jump in this part into the isopropylalcohol. Then take a cloth just to wipe away the rest of it, so it looks pretty good. So, and just need another go here. I don't know what kind of lube they used in the past, but probably some graphite. It could be in some of the or helicoid could also be a thing they have used. So now it looks much better, and then I could actually just apply a small amount of lube just to make it fine again. The grade 10 is actually the softest of the grease from Japanhobbytool. So we just need a small amount. There's no need for add too much. I mean, some lenses need much more than other lenses. It depends on I think it depends on the thread, how deep it is. But this one will be fine enough. So maybe it's a little too much, but let's see how it will go. Then the other helicoid. Take that out and wipe out the brush. Gosh. So there, and it actually looks a little better. Well, you could actually use lighter fluid for this, but sometimes I use the isopropyl because it doesn't stink that much as the other solvent. I mean, some prefer the one thing and other prefer the other. And actually we could use some cotton buds to actually take out the rest of the stuff from the helicoid. Just to make it work even better. So let's see how it will be. And since the other helicoid actually have got some grease, it's not necessary to add so much on this one, but so there, it's fine. And now, since I already set some marks here, it would be quite easy to actually get it in the correct thread again. I have my starting point here and the off point, which is actually on the other side of the of my starting point. So my off point will be over here. So let's see how good it will go to put on the thread. Whoa, that's fine. So my off point, and it will be there. So half a turn over to my starting point, and then 2 turns more. 1 and 2. So this is where I actually ended up, and as it was in the beginning. So now put it aside, and let's jump into the actual focusing ring, which also needs to come off. So I begin with my infinity mark and actually unscrew the screw that holds the prevent the focusing ring to just go off the thread. And the focusing ring itself, I need to actually unscrew it almost 10 turns from my infinity mark. So it will be, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and now I know where the focusing ring will come off the thread, so I actually put a mark here, and the mark is actually in line with the Aperture 4 on the Aperture ring. So I will actually end it up so when the focusing ring come all the way over to where the focusing ring comes off the thread, it will be there around the M, something in between the 1.2 and the M, but most to the closer to the M. So just so you have a reference point. So all for that, and it looks really, really dry here on the focusing thread and also here. So, and let's do some cleaning. And I can just put it in here. And just do the rest of it out so it will look fine. I mean, from 1940s, I think this lens has seen a lot. So, but let's see how good it will be. And then dry it with a cloth. So there it is, fine, and it looks much better. And we can also do some cleaning with a cotton bud into the thread and get the rest out of it. So the thread looks fine without having any problems with small elements in here. So now it's much better. Now the other part here, which actually is to actually clean the focusing thread here, I will need to actually take off the back lens group, which sits in this tube here. And to do that, before I start, I need to set it correct in again. So I put a mark here and actually loosen one screw. It will say here, this one. There are 3 other screws around here, there, there and there. But they actually holding the aperture system in here. So you only need to unscrew this screw here. So there. It's better to actually take it out so it will not disappear. So now this has to turn 7 1/4 until it came off. And I mean, I just write it down here, as you can see. And it will come off counterclockwise as seen from the back. So, but there shouldn't be any problem with that. So we can just unscrew it. But where does the thread come off? That's important. There. Actually close to the mark here, where the focusing ring also come off. So it's quite easy. And here we have the lens element with a lot of fungus in. I will clean it sooner, but I will just first take the focusing ring and fix that. So actually holding down the lens, we can just clean it. As much as possible. I know I could take out the aperture system, but this is just for showing how you can take one thing at a time and not necessarily fully disassemble the lens. Oh, and there a plus. Oh. There. And simply wipe away the old stuff here. So there. And then get it back to normal. So now. And then I think I'll just use a cotton bud to take away the rest of the old loop that sit in the focusing thread. And make it look better and smooth in the movement. So there. And now it actually looks much better. So let's see how good it will be when we add the new loop. The focusing thread is a bit used, as I can see. So now let's add some lube. It doesn't have to be a lot. Because it's not a heavy lens. But the thread is very deep. So I think it will be enough for this. And I will also add some to the focusing ring itself, just a little. It will be spread in the when moving. Moving the focusing ring. So now it's fine. And then I can just add the focusing ring. So I need my reference point, which will be the arrow here, the mark I set here, and the almost M. So catch the thread and see there, and unscrew it. I mean, screw it in. What do you say, counterclockwise, and it will be almost 10 turns, which I already have almost 1 turn. So let's see, comes off there. So almost 10 turns till I am screwed in again. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, and 10, almost. So now it's much better, smooth and in the movement. It's old, I know. So this is why I think it's actually okay. There was a little thingy here from the screw hole. Not a big problem. So there. And now it's actually fine. So the focusing is much better and smooth. And together with the outer helicoid, which I cannot put on now, I think this will be a great lens. So that was part of it. So I will actually just take out the focusing lens I mean the focusing ring out, so, and say that's fine. So I can continue with the with actually the lens element, which of course also need some care, and just clean out the old stuff here, so they will not come on the what do you say, the aperture blades. Yeah, sorry. So now that's fine. And now I will actually do some cleaning of the lens element. And I will begin with the back lens group, which is quite easy to come into. And we can get rid of the Isopropylalcohol. So we need a tool to unscrew the middle lens element here, and for that I will use my compass. You could also use a lens tool, but yeah, and simply it can sit tight. So now I've loosened it a little, and hopefully I can unscrew it with a rubber tool here. Actually the rest of it, maybe this one is better. Yeah, it works pretty good. And it will not damage any lens element. So we're almost there. So, oh gosh, how many turns? So the middle lens element, which actually sit in a mount, so I cannot take the glass lens element out. But here we can see the actual fungus, which has set a lot of tracks. So is it possible to actually clean this lens so it'll be fully working again? Well, I will guess so, but let's see how good it will be. So by using some hydrogen peroxide on a lens tissue. So there. So out for that, and add some of this amazing stuff. Just add some on the lens tissue. Doesn't have to be that much. So now remember how the lens look before we do it, and we'll see how good it will be after. I think it's quite interesting. Make some good pressure on the lens. Wow. The fungus is actually gone. I mean, it's away. There isn't, well, there maybe is some old tracks on it, but it seems like it's gone. So we'll just do it another go. Just to see how good it will be. And that's it. Wow. Well, if we look close enough, I know it's possible, not possible, but if seeing in the reflection of the lens, there are still some track, but it's old, so I don't think it's actually, it doesn't make the picture bad. But on the other side, how good, bad is it? Well, the inside also have some, but it's not possible to actually take the lens element out of the mount here. So I think I will just add a little of hydrogen peroxide and simply try to see if it's possible to do even more. Wow, that's just amazing. How good is it? Well, as we see it before and we see it right now, there's a huge difference. So that's actually interesting, how good it can be. Just do a little here. Yeah, I think it's absolutely fantastic. It looks like new. But of course, there are still some tracks which, if we look close enough, so maybe it needs another go. So let's see here. And I can just clean do a final cleaning with the Zippo fluid. Just to see how good the rest of it will be. There's my tweezer here. Maybe it would be better if I just put it into some hydrogen peroxide and let it stay overnight, but I don't think I will do that. I will just do the final cleaning with the lighter fluid. So there. Yeah. And one have to take care of the ink they have added in the edge of the lens. So one have to take care of that. and I will just do a little cleaning here. So it really looks great, but how good is it when we put a light through it? I mean, it's so much better. It's not a new lens, but to me it's amazing. So I will take the very back lens element, which looks even more hazy. There's really a lot of haze or fungus or whatever it is. So let's see. Yeah, and for that I will need another lens tool, because there is a retaining ring that holds this lens element into place. And take care when you take it out, it has to sit correct. So when putting it in, and simply it could be they have used some thread lock, but they haven't used any in this one. So when unscrewing this lens element, there is a really long thread. Oh. So there. And it's almost fine enough. I can just use my rubber tool for this, and it's out. So now I can simply let the lens element jump into a rubber tool here. So and it's there. And then take care when you take the lens out. How should it face? It should face like this. And it doesn't seem that it's the same convex way. Maybe it is, but to me it looks more flat on this side than the other side. So it should sit like this. The more flat side towards the front. But as normal, I will set a mark here, just a small arrow, so I know where it should sit. So just make a scratch, an arrow, where the lens, which direction it should face. So let's see how good or bad this one will be. It could be, hopefully, better. And a lens tool to put the lens on. Isn't there any better? Yeah, this one is better. So I will do the inside first. And with some hydrogen peroxide. And hopefully it will work. Wow, it's really well, it depends on how bad is or how good is the other side of the lens. we'll just give it another go. So there. Oops. Well, it looks a bit cleaner. So I can just turn it over and do the other side, just to see how it will go. Yeah, things are loosened up. Okay, there's actually a huge difference. There's still something on the edge, but just do it again. And add a bit more of the wow. I think it will be fine. Oh, now we actually can see it's a lens and not just something matte. So it is. It looks fine. But I think I will do a final cleaning with the lighter fluid and say that's it. Where's that go? Here. Oh, come on, little fellow. And then the other side. So there. Now, what can we say about that? It's more clear than it was. That's for sure. But if I put some light through it, well, if you remember how it looks before and how it looks now, there's a huge difference. And it's just because of the hydrogen peroxide and the lighter fluid. So that's absolutely great. So there. Wow. Interesting. So now I can actually just put the lens in again. And since I have a mark here, I know exactly where it should sit. So there is no problem with that. Or maybe I should use this one instead, it's smaller. So there, put the tube over and let it fall into place. There was some dirt on this tube here, so I will just take it out again. That was not expected. And now it's better. So then we can put it in. My mark is here, and what to do about it? I think I will just let it fall into place. So. And put in the retaining ring. So there. And use the rubber tool to screw it in. It's sometimes just easier than use the lens tool. And then do the rest with the compass here. And gently tighten the retaining ring, not to break anything. And so we are there, and on with this one, the middle lens element. There was just something on here which I didn't like. So that's fine for now. And then so on with this lens element, find the thread. Can sometimes be a little difficult. Click. And then screw it in. Too big. And then use the lens tool to do the rest. This is actually very interesting. So now you can see there's much more light coming through this, as it was not really before. So that's a big success. So now I will just continue with the front lens, which is only contain one lens element. I just need to clear off my table a little so I can work with it. So we'll be back in a second. So ready to continue. I will show the next part of it, which actually will be the front part here, which also have a lot of, let's say, fungus and haze or whatever stuff in, but you can see there is not really possible to see anything clear through this lens. So how good or how bad it is, I don't know yet, but we will see. Wow, I think it will be interesting if it can be so clear as the back lens group. Now, to get into it, we actually need to take out the whole aperture assembly. It will say the aperture assembly here with the blades, and the two rings that hold the blades in place will come out towards the back. And to get the aperture ring off, there is a little long screw in here, somewhere around here. Maybe you can see, well, down here. And it needs to come out, but one have to take out the whole aperture assembly out, unscrew the screw, and simply unscrew the aperture ring. So, but it can be a little tricky to get out, to take out the aperture assembly. It's held in place by 3 set screws. One is there above the, under the set screw that hold the back lens group. Then there's another one here, and the third one is here. So let's just screw it out. But before doing so, it's important to set a mark, scratch, whatever you call it. But it is important to set a mark somewhere here. So I simply just set a mark on the aperture part here, and on the inside of the tube here. So I know the exact position of the aperture. If you do not do that, you will maybe end up with a wrong aperture value. So it's good to actually do it before take it out. So out with the, not fully out, but you can just loosen the 3 set screws. There's no need for unscrew them fully. So there, and the last one. So it should be fine for now. And then we have to be a little careful because we have to lift up the aperture ring in here because of its hold in place. So you can see it's already, probably is already loose a little. So one have to lift it up, one on one side, on the other side, and so on until it's out. But I will just use 2 dentist tools and lift it up, so wiggle it out if it's possible, hopefully. So, and here it comes out. So this is actually the aperture assembly. So if I move the one ring here, of course I have already been into it, and so I also set a scratch here in line with the other scratch, the first scratch I set. And I also set a mark here on the edge where the little notch is. And this little notch will actually engage with the pin down here, this little screw. And this little screw we have to unscrew fully and then unscrew the aperture ring so it comes out. But let's have a look into the aperture assembly with the blades. So if I move the ring, it will hopefully close the aperture here. as you might see. Very interesting. Very beautiful made. And it makes a round hole all the way from full open until max, something like, let's see, 22 aperture. All the way, the hole in the middle, it will be round. That's just amazing. I will not take out the blades because it's not necessary, but I can lift off the moving part of the aperture assembly. There's no problem with that because I set a mark where things should sit, so everything is well, when I put it back in, it will fit and sit correct. So there it is, and we can just put it in again. There's no need for disassemble that part. Now the next thing is that we need to take out the aperture ring. To do so, it sits on 2.5, so that's the beginning. And then I will unscrew the long screw here, and I also set a mark here just to remember where, as you probably can see there, set a mark here so I know the exact position, just to not get confused under the disassemble or the assemble process. So out with that. There's actually a long screw, and with a tweezer we could probably take it out. It looks like that. So now the aperture ring is actually loose. So and the click will also be better. So to unscrew it, we actually need to unscrew the aperture ring 7.5 turn till off from 2.5, and it will come off with the index mark here, and actually between the kern-paillard with the Switzerland, as you can see here. So we have a reference mark. So we simply just unscrew it. That will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and half a turn. And when we come to the comes off, yeah, it comes a bit before the Switzerland, something in between the Switzerland. So I was not accurate enough, but it will be something like that. So just so we know, so if I can make a correction. So it will be between Switzerland, of course. And so the ring is off. And it looks a bit dry. There is a pin here. This pin here. And there are I guess, without knowing, because knowing it, I would guess there is a pin here, tiny one, and there should also be a spring in here. And yes, there it is. So out of that, oh gosh, hello little fellow. So now I can actually just clean the thread here, and also a lot of the old grease, whatever they have used, I don't know, but I will just use some isopropylalcohol and a brush. You do not need to do a lot about it, but we'll just clean the thread itself. That should be enough. And hopefully it will be a lot better. So there. And then we can just re-lube with the grade 10 lube, and hopefully it will be a smooth and buttery aperture ring when it's done. So there. Just get all of the old grease out, and of course here too. So there's really a lot of old stuff in here. So there. And we can just wipe away with I use just an old t-shirt because it works really good. And so there. Oh gosh, it just popped out of my hand. Not good. Okay, we'll just do it again. Yeah, better put it away. Of course I will also do the other part, which also needs some cleaning. So it looks fine, much better than it was. And so I can just take the other, which will actually be the inside here, this thread all the way around. There maybe will come some isopropylalcohol on the other side, and also the holes for the aperture also need some cleaning because the click was not really so good. So where's my brush here? And doesn't really matter if there comes any isopropylalcohol on the lens. I will clean it anyway with the hydrogen peroxide and probably do the final cleaning with the lighter fluid. So there, I would think it's fine for now. You can just use some small cotton buds here to do the rest. There's actually some small stones in there, so it could also damage the thread here, which will not be good. So there. This old fellow will hopefully come back to life. And then I think it will be great to take some photos with it, see how good and different pictures I will get. I actually took a picture before I took the lens apart and cleaned it. So it will be interesting to see how it will look when the cleaning process is done, and I will take the almost same picture again with a clean lens. And I think it will be interesting to see how good it will be. And I think those old film lenses have a good way to make the picture. So hopefully it will also be good to take photos with. Because I think it's really great fun to actually work with different lenses and the way they actually make the picture. I mean, the camera takes the picture, but the lens makes the picture, as I see it. Maybe I'm wrong, but yeah, that's just how I see it. Now this one looks actually okay, but I will not re-lube it yet. I will first clean the lens and then do the re-lube. Wow, it looks really dirty inside. So that was part of it. And let's get some, wipe away some stuff and do the final cleaning with some hydrogen peroxide and lighter fluid. Lens tissue and some of this amazing stuff, 3% hydrogen peroxide, and let's see how good it will be. There. And with a little help from a cotton bud to actually get into the into the edge of the lens, because it will be easier to actually clean that area too. Okay, I'll just wipe away the rest of the grease and stuff here. So oh, interesting. With the hydrogen peroxide, it will not go. I mean, when you add it to a lens tissue, it will not work the same way as water or other stuff. So give it a good go. Well, something happened, but we're not done yet. Wow. Yeah, let's see if it will be any better. So maybe I have to use some lighter fluid to clean the rest of it. But I will just try to take the other side, see how it will go. The inside here. It's a little difficult because it's not possible to take out the front lens. There's only one lens element. Well, just need another tissue. So there. But hopefully there will be a huge difference in this lens too. Well, something happened. Yeah. I think it will be fine. Could just try to use some lighter fluid and do some cleaning with that. Yeah. And then the other side. Oh. So there. Yeah, something happened. I think it would be good. Just need another cleaning. Maybe I should use a a cutting bud and just move around to do the edge. Oh. It can sometimes be a little difficult. But it looks better. But there's still something on the edge. There is still something on the edge of the glass of fungus. So just do another go here with the hydrogen peroxide. And hopefully you can do anything about that. Yeah, something happened. Just need a light pressure to actually clean it away. Yeah, another tissue. We shall use a lot of tissues on this lens. Yeah, there is actually a huge difference already. It looks like the fungus has actually disappeared. Maybe there are small trace of fungus, but I don't think it's not that a big problem. So I'll just do the final cleaning and say that's actually okay for now. Wow, huge difference. Yeah, I think it will be fine for now. And just use an ordinary lens cloth, because sometimes it's actually better to wipe away the stuff with a microfiber lens cloth. And here we actually, I think it's good for now. And we'll just take the outside. Yeah. So I think it's all. And sometimes you can actually breathe on a lens and get the hydrogen, get the fungus away. So now it's actually fine for now. So let's see how it looks with a light through it. Maybe it's, well, it's much better than it was. So there's still something on the outside, so, but I think it'll be fine for now. So I'll just assemble it again. I think that's fine. I mean, I'm happy with the result. So I will just use a little amount of grease, grade 10. I mean grade 10 grease, and make some small amount of lube here. And say that's actually so there. That's more than enough. It's a fine thread, so I think it will be fine. Now, to actually assemble it again, we need to find. I mean, I also need to put in the little steel ball. I mean, steel pin. So I will add a little loop here into the hole. Put in the little spring and then the pin. So there. Yeah, I think it will be fine. And then yes, I also need to actually add a little loop on the pin here, so the aperture click will be fine. So now I have my starting point will be, of course, the index mark here, and in the middle of Switzerland. Then add the ring here, click, and simply screw it in. I mean, actually there is no need to count, because you will end up here and you cannot go any further. So it will be there where the correct, I mean, where the aperture ring sits correct. So you just have to start with the I mean, between Switzerland when you put the ring on, and simply screw it in all the way as long as you can, and then go back to 2.5. So there we have the correct point. And it have a good smooth click. Wow, that's great. So now set it to 2.5, and then we can put in the pin here. Okay, little fellow. Okay. So there. And then a screwdriver here. Tighten it gently. There's no need for over tighten that tiny screw. So now I can simply put in the aperture assembly and the pin here. This pin in here has to go into the notch here. So when putting it in, we will simply just do the same thing but in the opposite direction. I mean, different order. So the pin is there. Maybe zoom in a little so we can see what's actually happened. And since I actually set a mark with a fiber pin, I will know where the things go in to the correct position. Hopefully. And if not, well, let's see. I have a mark here. So if I should turn it a little, let's see if it works. You see, it will be there. So if I can move the aperture ring all the way over here and then back again, then I have my correct position. So now I can actually screw in the three screws that hold the aperture in correct position. So there, and this screw here, and then the last one. So now I should have a fully working aperture, which have a good and smooth operation. Oh, a lot of grease around here. All the way over to 22, and it works as it should. So now the last thing to do is actually to put in the back lens group. Oh, there was some dirt on it, so I can just do a final cleaning with some lighter fluid. There was some splash from when I cleaned the other lens, so, and here it is, fine. So just zoom out a little. So now to put in the this tube here, we need to have first, of course, we need to put in the focusing ring. So to put it on again, we have to find the M in this case, and when the aperture ring is set to 2.5, it will come on at aperture 4. When my arrow is also there at aperture 4, so it should work. So but of course I need to put in the tube, the back lens group here first, before adding anything. Of course, just just a small hair in here. So I have to find the thread here. Click. As it's set. Oh gosh. And it has to come on a quarter, and then we start actually to 7 turns to it's fully in. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, and here we are. So now it should sit in correct position there, and then I can just add my little screw with the in the next hole here. Oh gosh, tiny little fellow. And then screw it in. So there. Tighten it gently. And then now I can add my focusing ring. So it will just come on here at the M, and then I can just screw it in. All the way in. So there, and then back to the infinity. Then I can put the screw on the side here, which is a stop. And then we are almost there. Set it to infinity. Wow, nice and smooth. And then I can add the lens mount with the back helicoid. Put it in. And since I have already set a mark here, I should end up with the same mark. So this one sits correct. Let's see if it's correct here. Has to sit there. And then add it into place. And here we are. Then tighten the screws. There. And there. So now I should actually have a fully, wow, smooth and good. Much better than it was. And then the aperture ring is also really good. You can see the lenses actually looks much better than it was. But how good? Well, if I look through it, put some light through it, it's so much clearer than it was. So I'm happy. I'm really happy with this lens. So let's see how it will actually. I will take another picture, which will be the after. Hopefully the weather is fine. So that's actually all for me. So hope you enjoy the content of this old lens. So that's all. Bye bye.